51. I already wrote episode 52 on something this cycle around, and I had to go back and edit it. But hello, and welcome to episode 51 of the Foam News Collective podcast. I'm KT. I'm here with Vile. Grims may pop in later, not 100% sure, but we are very pleased to have a special guest today. Bill, also known as CR Nerf, a friend I've had the pleasure of meeting and having a great time with at Maryland Mayhem. And yeah, it's good to see you. Thanks for being here today.
So glad to be here. Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me. I appreciate it.
We have a lot of stuff to talk about today. We're going to catch y'all up. For anyone that doesn't already know Bill, we're going to talk about his history, his place in the hobby, and the importance of the everyman event organizer and universal dad and all those important things in the hobby. But we're also going to dig a little bit in after we take our questions from the Ko-Fi supporters for our guest and play our notorious hobby trivia game. I cannot say that. I have done that multiple episodes in a row. Hobby trivia. I'm just going to, maybe it's just called that now. Maybe it just is the hobby trivia game. I'm not sure. We're going to talk a little bit about Hasbro's new playing to win strategy, and most importantly, what that actually means for us on the ground as hobbyists and game runners and etc. And I also went digging and looked at some of the things we were talking about a year ago at the beginning of 2024, and I kind of want to compare where we're at and where some of those stories have gone in the intervening time. So it should be a good chat overall. Vile, how are you doing?
Good. Just been kind of busy, obviously, with Merge Masters. This has been going on quite well. I'm happy with how my build's turning out, but feels like time's creeping up pretty quick. And I need to make more progress. But
what's the due date?
The last day, or April 30th at like 11:59, I think it's GST or whatever.
Coming right up.
But I don't have to just build a blaster. I have to build a paint booth, which that's fun. That goes into my build this year. I have to, if I want to get it done, I gotta build that too. So
a lot of people have been asking in the comments, will you tell folks who may not have been in your streams, which shame on them, but what went into this build?
So I started with
which for the audio listeners, it's sitting on Vile's table. So
it's sitting right here on my desk.
If you want
to see it started with I got the Mandalorian rifle from the Star Wars Mando, the giant one. It was the cheaper variant, obviously not the limited version. It was actually broken at a thrift store. One of the barrel pieces was literally just ripped out. Got it for fairly cheap. Took it apart, and when I was looking at it, I was like, this looks like it could be a really cool pistol. So I had an idea before Merge Masters of putting a Chronos grip on it because I thought it looked really nice. And then actually, my friend Iron Gopher sent me a Venom Pro that he just didn't have any interest with. So I got basically a free Venom. And when I looked at it, I said, hey, this all could go together. So it's now a Mando rifle body with a Venom Pro shoved inside of it, a Chronos grip, and then on the top, I actually got one of the Nerf Mirage, the rival Mirage, to cap the whole top off on it, and it sort of makes this really big, blocky pistol thing, which I've got a lot going into it. There's still work to be done because I do want to make it have like a removable stock and some other little bits to make it sort of like a little, SMG compact kind of thing. I'm putting a little rail on the front for a foregrip. It's a big, it allows me the ability to be kind of modular, which is fun. But yeah, it came together really nicely. And somehow I thought I was going to be the only one in Merge Masters doing a Venom Pro build. And then everybody out of the woodworks got a Venom Pro and is like, I'm going to enter a Merge Master. Well, there's three of us as of right now. So there's me, and then
That's significant.
Yeah, Evan, I know, who was putting one into one of the X-Shot orbits. And then I think Prickly's Nerf mods is also due. It has, I think he's got one, but I don't know what he's going to be putting it in. I just know that he's getting a Venom. I heard that he said he was going to get a Venom and try to start a second build. He's already done with his first build. He's going to do a second one for a second entry. So yeah.
Well, he didn't have to make a paint hood, to be fair. So.
True. Yeah. Right. But yeah. So that's sort of the progress that I've made and where it's going. And like I said, I'm happy with it. I do have to do a little bit of CAD work because I have to redesign the trigger because the pusher for the Venom Pro is about 1/8 of an inch away from the Mandalorian trigger. So it's not a slide trigger, it's a rotating trigger.
Yeah.
Which makes a whole level of complication. And I've come up with an idea of a what I call a blade switch, where the two switches can sit side by side, and then it's just a ramped sort of blade where as it rotates, it'll actually hit one trigger and then one switch and then the secondary switch as it rotates up.
That's cool.
So that's my sort of solution. We'll see how it goes when I start looking at the space I have. But yeah, it's going to be another engineering challenge.
That sounds amazing.
I love the mix of eras and sort of types of blaster, because like you see a lot of incredible integration work. That's like a lot of it is like elite era Nerf stuff. Like that's a lot of the material a lot of people like to work with. But you've started like the core is not a Nerf brand product, and then
not even at all.
Like a very modern, the Mandalorian thing. You don't see people working with that a lot. And then you've also got sort of like a classic integration blaster, the Kronos, which you've put the grips on those on so many things.
It's my favorite grip. It is really the most comfortable grip by far. I really, that's like, even when I started my channel on Twitch, the Kronos was like the main blaster I modded and had just tons of photos of. I've given away a bunch for, charity events and stuff. So it's probably easily my favorite blaster. And it just, like I said, the grip is just so nice.
I saw one today at Goodwill for $3, and I should have got it, but I didn't need another one. But
you don't.
How many do you have?
Oh, 8 or 10 at least.
Yeah.
Okay. Exactly. I didn't realize how many I had until I was going through my bins after moving, and I was like, well, when did I get 28 of these? Right. And I'm not even kidding about that number, which is why when I did this build right here and I cut up 3 of them, I'm like, it's just a drop in the bucket.
It's fine.
It's fine. It's fine.
Cool. That's so funny. Well, Bill, we didn't bring you here to talk about the rifle Kronos as much as we all love to do that. We did come to talk about a number of things, but I want to start off and start like introducing folks to you a little more who might not know you well. Although I think honestly, like you've become a beloved fixture despite maybe your best efforts to hide in some situations in the hobby, both online and in your local community. And I wanted to start a little bit by asking about and viewers on YouTube may have noticed that we have the same. One of us is going to have to change. We've got the same shirt on because I have always enjoyed your clever name and logo, and you've explained it to me. But would you explain the CR Nerf logo and its relevance to the audience?
Yeah, you bet. So it's not that clever, but I appreciate you saying that. CR is just for Cedar Rapids because that's where I live. That I've been here most of my whole life, and the emblem, that is like the symbol of Cedar Rapids. And so I have no skills as far as creating digital artwork or anything. So I had a buddy, I said, hey, we've got this symbol here. I think it would look amazing if it was made out of darts. Can you do that for me? He's like, oh yeah, I can do that. In fact, small world story, that's the person, I don't know if you remember, KT, I asked you for the streamlined darts.
Yeah.
So the guy that made the emblem, the guy that made the emblem, he wanted streamlined darts as payment for making the digital artwork. So
that's funny.
So it's not a super great story, but that's kind of, you go around Cedar Rapids and the little emblem is everywhere. It's on the street signs, it's on buildings, it's on the buses. And now whenever I see it, I just see it in darts, which I think is really great. And so it's just a thing for me now. So that's where that came from.
I think it's great just to see that in it as an idea. Admittedly, also my town doesn't have a logo that's cool like that I could have done that from. So I
Nobody
just love
can
it.
see my CR Nerf logo. That I have one of the stickers on my little sticker wall. I have on my desk. I have a spot right above where a lot of my tools are. That's sort of out of view for a lot of things. But I keep a big kind of collage of stickers, and one of the CR Nerf ones are up there as well. So yeah.
Good.
Well, so do you consider, a lot of people in the hobby, we have our nicknames and our creator names. Do you consider it more of a name and an identity, or are you using it sort of to run local events as like a club sort of situation? Like, what does it mean to you?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. It's kind of evolved over the years. So when I started to have like an online presence, it was the moniker, like it was the identity, because everyone has a nickname or some sort of alias they go by. So that's what it started out to be. But as we kind of got to do more things in the city and promote more things, it's now become more of the identity of the group, or like just the activity. So it's kind of changed a little bit over time. I still do all the social media stuff under CR Nerf, and that's kind of my thing, but that may change in the future as we grow and more people get involved and stuff.
Well, and to that end, I last year, about half a year ago, you went on Foam After Dark, the show by Bots and Blasters, and you were talking about trying to build that draw, saying that like Cedar Rapids didn't have a ton of people who were already interested in it. Yeah. And speaking of building that kind of community, how's that going? What does gameplay there look like now? What has that community grown into?
It is growing. It's not quite where I want it to be yet, but it is growing. We are getting more traction. We are getting more interest. So about a year ago, we were just kind of getting started with this relationship that we were building with the laser tag arena,
right?
Dragon's Lair, and that's become like a real great partnership. And so we're booked out for the rest of the year. We have one night a week where we do 150 FPS. One night a month we do 150 FPS, and one night a month we do 100 FPS and lower.
Oh,
so
that's fun.
That relationship has grown, and they've just embraced us, which has been amazing.
That's cool.
And I talked to Parks and Rec people very more and more that they're starting to hold more Nerf events as like citywide things and Parks and Rec things, and I'm involved in helping to plan those. In fact,
that's cool.
April and May, we're going to start having more events and more opportunities. So there's just going to be more things happening Nerf related in town, which I've kind of got all my fingers involved in, which is really cool for me. I really enjoy the organizational part of it and just getting the kids and the families and the people out there together. That's what my passion's really all about, is just getting people out there and having a good time.
Well, it sounds like you're being really successful, and that's exciting. I mean, I see your videos of gameplay. I see people out there, which is what it's really all about ultimately.
It is.
That's definitely, I think, a mark of success on that part. I think that's a big part of what I admire about people like you and other event organizers. I think about J-Mom all the time at Ragnar Oktoberfest. She doesn't really she likes playing, but she doesn't really get to. But she loves what she's doing. She just puts her time into the thing. And I think that people like y'all are the real. I've said this before on this show. I feel like people like y'all are the real core of this hobby, and it's easy to see people who are primarily content creators and see those faces and hear those names all the time, because every day we can watch videos by those people, and that's important work too. Like, that's communication is also important, but when it comes down to it, it's about the time spent on the field, and people like you make that possible. So I mean, I know you like organizing the most. Do you get to play much lately?
Yes. I usually most of the laser tag arena places I do get to play. Yeah, I do a fair amount of playing now that I stop and think about it. I've developed this relationship also with the local library, and so we have been able to play at a local library 2 times now, and I've been able to play in both those games. So there have been a lot of times. Now, if I'm doing like a birthday party or something like that, that's just leading and coaching and like refereeing and stuff. But most of the stuff that I get to organize in a public place, I get to play too, which is just so much fun.
How much are you doing like birthday parties and stuff like that? Because I don't know, those are fun.
I've done a handful of birthday parties. I've done a couple of church events. One thing that I'm excited about, which is going to be a new experience for me, actually in April, I've been contracted to do Nerf events at an after prom party at the YMCA. So it's going to be a challenge because I'm old and I like to be in bed by 9 o'clock. Like this time we're really pushing it. And so after prom is like 1 a.m. So I'm gonna have a lot of caffeine and sugar that day. But I'm excited for the opportunity and just still like getting the name out there and letting people know, hey, this is possible and we can do this other places and we're trying to do it this here and there and here. So it's growing and I'm really excited about it.
Do people approach you and ask you to run these events, or are you putting it out there that you want to do events like this at your things, or people just come to your games and be like, hey, can you do this after prom, I guess?
It's
bar mitzvahs, I don't know.
Well, I haven't done that yet, but there's always a first.
Could get there.
A little bit of both. So the after prom party, they reached out to me. They heard through the grapevine that this is a thing, and they reached out to me. Other places I've actually asked. So like the library, I was there one day with my son, and we've got this joke that whenever we go somewhere and it seems like it'd be a great place to play, he looks at me and I look at him and he's like, Dad, are you thinking what I'm thinking? And I'm like, yeah, buddy, this would be a great place for a Nerf war. And so we had that thought at the library, and so then I got on their website and I went to their contact link and I'm like, hey, this is who I am. This would be a wonderful place to try to have a Nerf war. What do you think? And they responded and said, we have a youth director here. We love doing outreach like this. Yes, let's make this happen. So sometimes it's me just randomly asking people, and sometimes it's them reaching out to me, which I think is really great.
That's really cool.
Oh, that's fun. That's so much fun.
Yeah.
You are also teaching modding classes. I know you've been doing this for a bit, but that is something that not a lot. So I know of like maybe a couple of the people who are doing the kind of thing at like summer camps. It's mostly a summer camp thing you're doing, right?
Yep.
What is this, the second year, third year?
This will be the third year.
Third year. Jeez.
So one of the things, like, to me, this is really all about relationships and building relationships with people. So I have just a good friend of mine, went to high school with him. We still live in the same town. He works for the local community college. And he reached out to me one day and he's like, I know how you like Nerf and I know how you like modding. I think this could translate really well into the summer camp for kids. He works in the continuing ed department where, enrichment classes and these kinds of things, not necessarily for like degrees and certificates and stuff, but just, to build your skills and your knowledge.
Yeah.
And so I met with the director of that program and I kind of talked to her about what I do and what I could do. And she's like, yeah, let's give this a try. So the first year we did it, we had like 5 kids, which felt good. Like we needed to have 3 to make it run financially. And so we had 5. So I was like pretty excited about that. And it was like a 3-day class. The second year, we had 24 kids plus a waiting list. And so we broke it down into 2 different classes. So 2 days was a beginner class and 2 days was an intermediate class.
Okay.
And so just from one year to the next, like word got out that, hey, this is a fun thing to do. This guy is doing a good job. And so I'm excited to see how many we're going to get this year.
That's
we can only have 12 per class. So to have for those to fill up so quickly and have a huge waiting list is amazing. And it just tells me, yes, we need to keep doing this and we need to keep growing this hobby here.
Yeah. Kidding.
Yeah.
What does that look like for you? Like, are you bringing in, like everybody has the same equipment and you're helping them, like walking them through a thing, or is it people bring whatever and you're kind of like helping them with whatever they want to try to do?
So the beginner class, this is a whole other thing I got to say. I'm really blessed to be in this position because I don't have to purchase anything for the class. Everything's purchased by the community college. And so that's awesome for me.
Yeah.
So the beginner class, we typically use reflex 6s because everyone knows front loaders are great and the internals in a reflex 6 are pretty easy. And so we start with there. And, we take out the air restrictors, we improve the seals, we put different springs in, all those basic things, right? And then we'll take chronograph tests, we'll take outside measurements, and we'll compare data. And then usually ends up in a war at some point. The last year was the first year we did the intermediate class. And my first idea was for that, hey, let's take the skills we learned from the reflex 6s, kids bring in your own blasters, let's see if we could implement those skills into these in your own blaster. I love that idea, and on paper it was awesome, but in practicality it was not good at all because everyone brought a different blaster. I was the only one in the class that knew what internals look like and stuff,
right?
And everyone needed my attention all at the same time, and so that did not work very well. That was day one. So day 2, I was like, this didn't work. We need to do something different. So then the community college bought the X-Shot rifle-looking thing. Is it the Berserko? I can't remember if that's the one.
Oh, one of the Insanity line. The
yes. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. I think it is the Berserk, or the Berserker thing.
Yeah. Berserko?
I can't remember.
Google suggestion is Berserko. Yeah.
Was it the Berserko? Okay, yeah. But it's one of the Insanity line, guys.
So then, day 2, all the kids had that blaster, and so the internals were a little bit are pretty similar to the Rev 6, and so it was still intermediate because it's just a larger blaster, right? There's just more more screws and more things to take apart and stuff. So that worked much better when we're all working on the same thing and the kids can kind of help each other out as they're going through. So that's what we'll do. So this year, we'll do the Reflex 6 again. But then, I don't know if you saw my post, I found the X-Shot long shots for $9 a piece.
Right.
And so we're going to use those for the intermediate class.
Hey, that'll be really
perfect,
cool.
Yeah.
And I was super happy to find those. The community college paid for them.
What kind of price did you get on replacement plunger tubes for all of them?
Well, this might be a good learning opportunity for the kids, right? So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. Hopefully, they're ones that have been that have the thicker plastic. So
right.
I did reach out to X-Shot to ask if that was really a thing and not just rumor, but they never responded. So we'll see.
Actually, one of the things that's later in the episode that is on my list is it's about a year ago that we were going through this with the X-Shot long shot, and we made the discovery that there were date codes printed on the long shots, and there seemed to be a cutoff date where. And so we were squinting at date codes and using calipers on the plunger tubes and trying to gather data about when it happened. And I think we narrowed it down. Yeah,
we narrowed it down to about a 1 month time difference between when it was the 1.2 to the 1.5 thickness. I think the difference was. Well, I don't remember exactly now. It's been a while.
Something like that.
I don't have those in my possession anymore to check date codes, but I'm hoping that it's going to work out.
If you got them recently, they should be.
Yeah, they should be fine.
And we'll make sure the kids have all the resources on where to buy replacement parts and all those online resources.
I was just looking at those online resources too because I remember when they first came out, there was the first metal plunger tube that came out was somebody on Etsy was selling a 3-pack, and it was like $12 for a 3-pack. But it was from, I don't even remember who the vendor was. It was very, very cheap because it was just the raw aluminum just cut to length, and that was it. So it wasn't cleaned up. It was kind of rough. But now there's so many shops that have them. You can get polycarbonate. You can get, aluminum that's anodized. And I was looking at the prices, and I was like, oh, okay. So polycarb's like $5. Anodized is like $13. Okay. So that gives you sort of a price range you can work with. It's interesting because, we have now the Fury X, which is sort of the new super cheap variant that's even smaller, obviously, than the long shot. So, I mean, that's another option. Yeah, I was going to say, I'm waiting. KT got his. I'm waiting for mine in the mail. It says it shipped.
I ordered mine from Amazon like the day they became available, and it literally showed up today. Oh, wait, sorry. According to the label, you're not supposed to remove the magazine because it says do not remove on the printing right there. So, sorry. Sorry, X-Shot. I didn't mean to do that. Oops. Oh, well.
I'm still waiting. I ordered it at the same time, and mine is in the mail right now. It's going to be showing up in the next day or two. I don't know. I'm mad that everybody's getting theirs before me.
Who knows? Maybe they're all shipping from the East Coast, all the U.S. ones or something. I don't know.
Mine came into Dallas-Fort Worth Airport.
What the heck?
I've been tracking it through Amazon, and it just said left the shipping, and then the shipping just all of a sudden shows up that it's in the Dallas-Fort Worth Airport, and I'm just like so it must have shipped from overseas. I have no idea where it came from, but
is this sticker supposed to be a permanent element, or is it supposed to come off? I think it's
supposed to be permanent. I think that's where you load the darts. It's the stopping point.
Well, it also goes over the lettering, so it says like M15-S, and it covers up some of the letter. I don't know, whatever. I like it. I think it looks cool. I'm leaving it.
I know it doesn't come off cleanly, so you have to get
yeah. I like this magazine color a lot. The bright pink magazines that come with the Fury. So I ordered it early enough that what I ordered was a red and white one.
Oh.
Technically, but I'm glad I got this instead because I think this colorway is much nicer.
Yeah, I like it.
In my personal opinion. Anywho. For those who may not already know, the Foam News Collective has a Ko-Fi, which is a great way to back the work that we do and support us. And one of the things that you get by backing our Ko-Fi is the opportunity to ask our podcast guests questions every episode. And we have a couple questions from a couple of our backers for you. First up, Dirty D of Dead Man's Foam asks, what blasters are you wanting to add to your mod class that you have not acquired yet? Also, have you thought of introducing 3D printed parts to the program, possibly to inspire future designers? Maybe that's the advanced class. I don't know.
Someday we might have an advanced class. Now, I think that's a really great question. And with there being more and more 3D printing in the hobby, I think that's a logical place to go. And I gotta believe that there's probably 3D printing classes available or camps available that maybe we can have some crossover. I think that's a great idea. And I haven't thought of that before, so I appreciate Dirty D mentioning that. As far as blasters, I usually go with about as simple as we can go, just because you know what? We've got a lot of kids. Some of them have never used any tools before. They don't know, they don't know righty-tighty, lefty-loosey like with what we grew up with. And so just, part of it's the modding, but part of it's just like learning some of these basic skills that no one's really showed them before. And so we're going with kind of basic things. So we're taking a step up. We're taking a leap with the X-Shot long shots this year. We'll see how that goes. If it goes well, maybe we'll do that again next year. Maybe there'll be a new blaster release that we can get for a really good deal, and or maybe we could get some sponsorships out there or something. That would be lovely too. But I don't have one in mind off the top of my head, but we'll see what happens this year and see where we can go from there.
Do you think there'll be a point where you'll dig into flywheelers with them? That's a whole different tool set, and it's hard with soldering, but like maybe that's an advanced class kind of thing if the program continues to grow.
So that's where my capabilities end, right? So I am not handy at all. I don't have soldering skills or tools. I'm hoping one day, as I get older and have less responsibilities and the kids are out of the house, that I can do some more of that type of modding and electric work and stuff. I don't have those skills or tools right now, but someday I hope to. And yes, that was, if we're able to keep doing this, I'm hoping that, again, maybe partnering with more of a shop class or camp or something that we could cross over and do some of those things with. That would be amazing. Yeah. So
Actually,
yes, thank you for all those ideas. We've got all sorts of room to build.
Yeah.
I got one for you. Does that community college, do you know if they have a CAD designing class or like an engineering program of any kind? Because the community college I went to, I was working on their advisory committee, and they actually were working with the local high school, like the local, grade schools, to basically get a lot of students into either the CAD side or into circuit board design, and using, because of what I do, I actually said, hey, these are great opportunities for you to show that. And they were super on board with it. So I was going to say, if that college does have a program, either again, engineering or CAD, you might be able to sort of, bridge that gap and maybe get the 3D printing in. Because a lot of those departments do have printers. So it's worth a shot if they've got it.
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head, but I got to believe they do have some design and CAD classes. I would imagine. I can't imagine they wouldn't. But yeah, that's a really great idea. I got to be taking some notes or something. You guys.
Well, luckily, I know a podcast you can listen to hear all of these ideas again.
Yep.
There you go. There you go.
One thing that I was thinking about too, if you get into that, what Vile is talking about, it could be really easy to start out with like, here's a baseline part where like the part that fits to the blaster is done, and they can do something like cosmetic to the outside of it and get their first experience where like they can't really do wrong other than like maybe making it harder to print. And then they almost immediately get to just like run it on the printer and have a thing that they can fit into a blaster. And maybe it's just like my Strife has like a little dinosaur sitting on top of it or whatever, but like, it's like how addicting to have that first experience, right? Like remember the first time you put a blaster back together and it worked, you know, and it's that kind of it's hard to not want to come back to that after you've had your first experience like that, even if whatever you did is not helpful. It doesn't matter. That's not the point, right?
Right. Yeah.
It's the doing.
Yeah,
So,
you got it back together and it was working. Yeah.
I love that. I hope if this program continued to do exactly the same thing for 20 years, that would be incredible. I also hope that you get the opportunity to grow it, because I think that there's a lot of potential there.
That'd be amazing.
Next question. Oh, yeah, what?
One of the problems is I have to take off from my day job to do that. So that's also one of the challenges. But maybe.
What a mood.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So there's some barriers there too, but that may change someday too. So we'll see.
Yep. Yeah. Everyone will be might be interested to know that if they're watching this episode when it comes out, I'm at work right now. It's like, that's we all still have to do the thing.
Yep.
Colin of Go Slow Taco, a former guest on this show, is, I think, referring to a lot of your videos at the laser tag arena that you've been working with. What was it called again? Dragon's Lair. Dragon's Lair. Is indoor CQB your favorite style of game mode? How does your preparation and gear differ from outdoor and HVZ play?
I have to say yes. And the reason is I grew up playing GoldenEye on Nintendo 64. So that was my heyday of video games. And so I think I'm trying to recreate that as much as I can. And so I really enjoy like the library or, the laser tag arena, those types of close where you're running around a building in a maze. That just feels GoldenEye to me, which I really, really enjoy. So that is my favorite. as far as loadouts, I don't like focus on that a whole lot. So typically at Dragon's Lair, I really like running the Venom. I really like running the Maxim Pro. Nice, small, compact flywheelers. Those are great in that arena. Those are my favorites. I do have an Ultra 4. I think it's an Ultra 4 that I barreled down for half darts, which I use for the 100 FPS games and lower. And so that's just brings a little extra level of complexity because you got to put one dart in at a time, and that's fun for the kids who've got like rival blasters and stuff and are firing at a bunch at a time, and I just shooting one at a time like my almost a higher powered Jolt more or less. So that's I enjoy that quite a bit. So yeah, I think that answered the question.
That's so funny. No, go ahead, Vile. We're probably.
I was just going to say. So does that mean that you're modding the gold reflex 6s for the real golden gun experience?
We haven't modded those, but I do keep one around for a golden gun round. You bet.
Perfect. Yeah. I was curious
absolutely.
if you would.
Yeah.
There you
go. You have to.
You have to. It's just part of the.
Yeah.
It's so funny because I've been getting to play less this year. In fact, I just found out. Okay, this is a bummer. I just found out I can't do Maryland Mayhem this year.
Oh no!
Date, I know the new date. I thought it was going to work out. Some stuff changed in our schedule on this side, and I had to pick between work and going to the event. Like that was ultimately what it came down to. And it's like if I don't work, I can't afford to go to the event. So I had to pick that. Hoping to go to some other stuff. But the more stuff I do go to, the less I care about loadouts a lot of the time. It's like I went to Ragfest and it was like I ran a blaster because Vile made it for me. Like that was and what was my sidearm? It was the thing I just happened to win in a raffle earlier in the day. It's like like what seems fun, what seems amusing right now. If I went to a game tomorrow, I would take this because it just came in the mail, and I don't know, I haven't played with it yet. Whatever. The Venom is amazing. I love that the Venom, you can just go to a Target in the town that you're playing in and buy one, and like give it to a kid at the end of the game. It's like, all right, I'm done with this. Here, enjoy. It's like not that big of a deal, and they're great and they're reliable, and you can like, if you really want, you can take one 3D printed part and stick it on the end and get a little more accuracy.
Right.
Yeah, love stuff like that. Wonderful. Well, the time has come for our increasingly notorious hobby trivia game.
I'm super nervous, guys. I'm super nervous.
Don't be. Or do, whatever. No. We will ask you 3 multiple choice questions about the hobby, and if you are able to get 2 out of 3 of those questions correct, you will win an opportunity for one person to get a free Ko-Fi style question of our next hobby guest, of our next podcast guest, who I'm pretty sure is going to be a major event organizer. As of this moment, I have not fully confirmed it, so I can't say for sure who it is, but it's going to be good and someone who has a lot of interesting things to say about some upcoming stuff this year.
Can you tell me off the air?
Sure. Yep. Yeah, I can tell you. You're fine. Whatever. It's fine. Gotcha. It would be bad to say it and then have it not work out or whatever. And as usual, I need to go run the raffle real quick.
I hope I win the raffle.
Oh, did you? Oh, amazing. Yeah. I mean, it's funny because you could win it for yourself. That's really fine. But like sometimes the person who's the next guest will enter the raffle, and I was like, "What are you doing? Like, what?" Right?
No, that's exactly what I did.
What's the goal here? No, what is going on here? Numlock was not on. All right. Oh, it did 21. That doesn't happen. 21 out of 21. That doesn't happen very often. Let's see here. Captain Shotgun. I feel like Captain Shotgun won before, but didn't wind up putting in a question. But that's fine. Wait, is that true? That is true. I think that's okay. Captain Shotgun, you get another chance. If you're listening and you're paying attention, you can potentially be the winner after these 3 trivia questions.
I'll reach out to him. I actually told him before that I was going to be on the podcast. So
there you go.
We'll make sure he hears it. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. So, Val, you want to do the thing again where you read the title and I'll read the rest of the thing?
Sure.
We would love today to play a game with you. We like to call
Oh, mother, where art thou?
From one Nerf dad to another, I must ask you questions about Nerf moms.
Uh-oh.
Which ones do you want to read, Val? Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter to me. Whichever one you...
Why don't you... I mean, you could read like the... Oh, you know what? They're actually in the wrong order.
Oh, no.
Hold on.
Oh, no.
I'm nervous, guys.
It'll be fine. Everything will be fine. Okay, that's a better order. There we go.
I'd say, the real question is, do you want to be the last to ask a question?
Oh, I don't care. I wrote them. It's fine. You go. It's fine.
Might need to phone a friend. I don't know.
Yeah, right. Okay, so first question. The legendary J-Mom, our episode 42 podcast guest, is the business and spiritual runner of Foam War Incorporated and Ragnar Oktoberfest. But she is most immediately hands-on with which aspect of the Ragfest event? Is it A, Stalking Dead HVZ, B, 5v5 King of the Hill tournament, or C, all ages Superstock?
Wow. I should know this.
How much do you know about other event organizers?
I listened to that episode, and I remember thinking, man, I wish J-Mom was my mom. I remember that 'cause she was just amazing. But I want to say the all ages super stock. Am I close?
Would you want to go with all ages?
When you ask it that way,
no, don't ask it that way. If it's
No?
just
Do you want to go that?
yeah,
Yep.
let's say C.
Yep.
Let's say all ages super
All
stock.
ages? You would be correct.
Oh, good.
Yes, yeah. J-Mom really likes the all ages Superstock event.
yeah, it's funny
Awesome.
because it happens at the same time as King of the Hill, and so when I was casting, I didn't see her all day that day, like because she was off doing Superstock that day.
Phew.
This last year.
I like
Yeah.
to make you sweat.
So you're one up already. You're one up already. All right. Here's your second question. Which of the following famous moms has appeared in ads for Hasbro alongside Nerf products? Is it A, Brittany Griner, 3-time Olympic gold medalist in basketball? B, Candace Payne, a.k.a. Chewbacca Mom? Or C, Anne Fish, a UK-based Fortnite streamer?
Holy cow. I have no idea. I have no idea. All right. Now, I know there's usually a theme. The first answer was C.
I didn't do that this time. I'll just tell you right now, I didn't do that.
Dang it! Okay. I'm kind of leaning towards A. Was it?
That is clever since your name starts with your username starts with C. That is clever thinking, but I did not do that.
I
only know
say the
one
names
of these
again.
people, actually.
A is Brittany Griner, multiple-time Olympic gold medalist in basketball. B is Candace Payne, also known as Chewbacca Mom. And C is Anne Fish, a UK-based Fortnite streamer.
Oh, I do feel like I remember that Chewbacca Mom viral video.
Mm-hmm. She's the only one I know out of all of them, actually.
Yeah. I want to go with A, the gold medalist basketball person. I think that sounds right.
Unfortunately, that is not the correct answer.
Oh, dang it.
You were very close thinking about Candace Payne, Chewbacca Mom. That is the
Okay.
correct answer. The original viral video, of course, was with a Hasbro product, and she wound up getting called in to do some Christmas Christmas stuff.
All right.
The other two were basically just red herrings. Brittany Griner, fascinating person, mom with her partner who is also a WNBA player. And Anne Fish was... I found her doing research for this question. She became a Fortnite streamer because she was spending a lot of effort supporting her son, who is like a pretty famous... he does other games now, too. but she wound up like learning the game just so she understood what he was doing more. He's like internationally competitive and like does a lot of content creation and stuff. And so she got in the same way a lot of us get into Nerf, right? Where it's like we get into it ourselves because we're supporting our kids in this thing. And now she has her own following as a Fortnite streamer and like does a lot of big content creation, has like hundreds of thousands of followers on Twitch.
Wow.
On YouTube.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But she has not worked with Hasbro.
Nope. All right.
Only
Pressure's on. Pressure's on.
All right. Go for it, Vile.
All right. In 2023, a faked viral video of a mom falling off a ladder onto a leather couch while painting because her son snuck in and shot her with a, quote, Nerf gun, unquote, made the rounds, receiving millions of views. What blaster was the child using? Is it A, Nerf Maverick, B, Busby clip-fed long-distance rifle from the Adventure Force Arsenal Blaster set, or C, an Adventure Force Nexus Pro?
Wow.
I actually remember this video. This popped up in my feed many a times.
Yeah.
So I'm very familiar with this one.
I typically don't watch videos if they're not Nerf related.
This is only pretended to be Nerf related
from our content creators in the hobby.
This is literally like a 3-second clip, but it was
it's a clip. It was just a clip,
super viral. But it was also very clearly posed.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah,
what were you gonna say? You're gonna say something?
No, it's fine. I'll give you a hint. I think
Okay.
the way to do this really is to logic it out. I don't think you need to have seen the video to figure out which one this is.
I feel like 2023 is important. So tell me the options again.
It was A, Nerf Maverick,
Okay.
B, a Busby clip-fed long-distance rifle from the Adventure Force Arsenal Blaster set, or C, an Adventure Force Nexus Pro.
I will probably say Nexus Pro.
Now, her son was quite young in the clip. I do remember this clip. So
he comes in and kneels. He's like dressed like a ninja.
Yeah, he's probably like ages like maybe 8 or 9. If that gives any indication.
So then I'm going to say B, the Adventure Force rifle.
Yeah, it would be correct. Yes, it was the Busby clip-fed long-distance rifle. Also, that was a recent blaster release last year. We covered actually that they had re-released the little Arsenal set. It came with the rifle and one of the other Adventure Force Busby blasters. Yeah,
because they originally released that set, and like neither of the blasters really has like a name. Even though they're very similar to like the Alpha Rogue and all those other Andrea's rifle and all that thing, they're all very like similar form factors, and it doesn't really have a name. And they reissued it in 2023, I think, in red.
Right. Yeah, it was like a red and blue, I think, right?
And this was the red one.
Yeah,
it was the one that had just come out that year, and the kid like acts scared and drops it and runs out of the room.
Yeah, no, I don't remember that video at all. But you're welcome, Captain Shotgun. I'm glad that we pulled through. We got 2 out of 3.
We got there in the end.
Nice.
I hope you have a good question for the next guest.
Yes. Think about questions for event organizers, and I'll try to remember to announce the guest ahead of time, like I constantly forget to do, because there's way too many things going on. Way too many things going on.
Yeah.
And I need to write down that Captain Shotgun is Captain Shotgun winner! Exclamation winner! I don't need a T on that. Okay. Anyway. So congratulations, great work, you did it, fabulous. Yeah. How did that feel to be on the other side of the?
Stressful.
Here's a question. Knowing that you're a listener to the podcast, do you try to guess the trivia before the hosts do? Or do you just listen to them flounder?
No, I try to guess. Yeah, no, it's fun.
What's your record?
Especially back in the day when you did the Nerf blaster, right? You had to try to pick.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun too.
Yeah.
Probably 50-50 maybe.
All right.
We do our best.
I mean, you're 66.6 continuing, 33.3 continuing in
I'll take
actually
it.
playing it. So
I'll take it. Yep.
yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, the what's that blaster was a lot of fun, but like
Yeah.
coming up with them stopped being fun at a certain point.
Well, they stopped.
got really
Not all of
hard.
them have an actual,
Yeah.
like advert for them or description for them. They literally were just a release, and that was it. And when we started, doubling up, in such a
Right.
short time frame, it was becoming obvious that we couldn't do it for as long as we wanted to. But
I think some of those descriptions are lost media at this point, where like there may have
that
been
too.
one at some point and nobody captured it anywhere, and it's just gone into the ether or some archive of advertisements, or maybe someone will discover one on a script for an ad on a VHS tape of Ren and Stimpy at some point, but like
Which is
beyond
why
that,
we need
it's
the
just
museum, KT, right? Yeah.
still
Yeah.
an ongoing project.
Yeah.
I am doing a lot more theater design work right now than I expected to be at this time in my life, and so it's just harder to find time to do things. But it is very much a project, and Vile and I think, are gonna hopefully dig in soon on some. Oh, Vile, I really need to share with you. Adam Savage on his YouTube channel has been doing. He did a whole bunch of videos at the Met, the museum, talking with the people who build stands for objects.
really, okay.
And we need to sit and watch those and think about what we want to do for some of the blasters, because I really do want to create like nice stands for a lot of the things that can travel with them, so that they always have like a solid thing that really shows off the object. I dabbled in a little bit of that for some of the stuff I took to Mayhem last year, but I think we can go a lot further than that.
Yeah, I'll
Especially
definitely
with
take a
our-
look at it.
with our skills combined.
Yes. Yeah, we'll
start
take
to
a look
come up
at
with
it for
stuff with
sure.
that. And with Beret's donation to the thing, like that's going to be a really interesting and challenging one. Is like what's the right way to hold up these toy saxophones, and they're different, so that we can't just make one stand and then duplicate it. We have to like come up with the idea and then make it and form fit it to each one.
Right.
So
Yeah, that'll be a challenge. I'm up for it, though.
that'll be fun.
Yeah.
But at this point, I want to talk about a recent announcement by Hasbro, who have once again made a very big, flourishing announcement about their business plans from some consultant they probably hired, who came in and helped them come up with some catchphrases to go on their business plans. This time they're calling it "Playing to Win." And for y'all, I put the link in the thing if you want to look at it, if you haven't had a chance to look at it yet. Yeah. They have what they seem to be doing repeatedly is sort of like refocusing down on basically trying to profit from the IP they already have access to. And I remember last year they said that they were going to cut costs without cutting quality, and did not really explain what that meant. They are the way that they're saying this, they're basing it around 5 strategic building blocks: profitable franchises, like I said, which I think we're seeing asserting the fundamentals of profitable play-focused brands. I mean, a lot of this to me too is about taking advantage of IP, right?
Yeah.
We're seeing a lot more licensed products. We're seeing a lot more. We're seeing them cross over a lot of stuff. There have been, everything in its sibling has been crossed over with Magic the Gathering, for example. Like they've used every single IP you possibly could, and people are getting a little tired of it.
Yeah.
Aging up, which I think is interesting. I think, and that seems to be really a focus on collectability. Vile has pieces of that on his desk right now with, I think, Nerf Limited was sort of an attempt to get into that. And
I mean,
They're
we have
calling
the
it
Galahorns and the
right.
you know, the the aliens blaster as well. There's a lot. Yeah, there was a few, and then the Needlers. Yeah,
Right.
there's a lot of IP crossovers.
Which the Needler, man, that's so good.
Yeah, it really was.
I love it.
I need
love
one.
it.
I have to say real quickly, the Galahorn is not the optional blaster for the laser tag arena. Not a good choice.
Did you try that, or did someone try?
Someone tried, and it didn't work very well. But I appreciate the effort. Like
Yeah.
it was pretty cool to see, but it was not real functional there.
Someone had one at Ragfest, and I remember we wound up in a situation where because I was carrying a one-handed blaster, the one that Vile made for me, I took on a curse, which was like a glove with a pool noodle tied to it, and you could use it as a melee weapon, but you weren't allowed to take it off. And so I was carrying Vile's blaster with one hand and shooting, and then like glove. But then we had to deal with a special zombie, and the only mega blaster that was available to us was someone's Galahorn. And so I had to have someone else load it for me, and then I'm carrying the Galahorn with one hand on my shoulder with the pool noodle in the other hand, and I get one shot, and then I have to run back and reload it. It was chaos. I love that. Oh, and one of these days, Maritime Foam Anthony was supposed to send me footage from his perspective, but I remember 2 years ago at Maryland Mayhem when we played. They were calling it some people call it Civil War. What's the other name for it? The like firing line one where there's two lines and you kind of get closer and closer. But you fire in volleys.
Yeah.
And you
we
like
call it
lose,
Civil War.
Yeah, you lose limbs if you get hit.
Yeah.
I was running the Galahorn, and I had a bunch of shells, but like I lost a hand and a foot at some point, and it came down to the point where it was only like me and maybe one other person on our side, and I was like, and no one could hit me for some reason, and I was like, as soon as I fired, I had to immediately eject the shell, roll around, and find like more Mega XL darts to shove in the like 3D printed shells that I had, and get it loaded again, and just to have it loaded in time to fire again. And I have video footage of it somewhere, and then there's also footage from Anthony's perspective, and one of these days I'll try to put that together and release it.
Oh, that'd be fun. Yeah.
I do like the Galahorn. I do like the Galahorn quite a bit. It's just a little too ridiculous. It's wonderful.
I didn't mean to go off on that tangent. I apologize for that.
No. Well, it's relevant, right? Because that is very much a product. This is part of what I want to try to get to when talking about this. Is it's like they're pitching this as a really big announcement, but it kind of feels like it's kind of what they're already doing, right? Like this already exists, the Needler already exists. All these lines of Star Wars things that are not really I shouldn't say they're not viable play toys, because there's so many types of play, and there's so many. Obviously, we just talked about all these ways to play with these ridiculous things, right?
Yeah,
right.
But they're not intended for that, right? They're clearly intended for collectors and aficionados of these IPs. They have Everyone Plays, which they are calling expanding reach in opportunity areas, including girls and emerging markets, which is a weird way to say it, but good. I like that. That like that's good, but it's a weird way to say it.
Right.
Digital and direct. Video games, services, e-commerce, and partner scaled, driving profitable reach throughout. That's the business talky most one. But they have part of their graphic has like 1,000 plus partners, and it's like Amazon and Walmart and like 1 million and like Target and all the other. They just did a partnership with Mattel. They just collaborated with Mattel on like Barbie Play-Doh.
Random.
And and then they partnered with Franklin Sports on some Nerf stuff, like Nerf ball stuff. So that was one of the really big things that I thought was interesting, and I'm curious about y'all's thoughts on this. Chris Cox, the CEO of Hasbro, specifically said that he felt like Nerf was a solid brand, but that he wanted to pivot away from a focus on, and his quote was, everything is a dart, and focus on Nerf's like indoor soft ball play side, which is of course the original source of the brand. I wonder in the context of what we've seen, like he was also saying that he felt like it needed a reimagining, that the brand needs a reimagining. What do we think that that means? What do we think that that might look like, and how that might impact how we relate to the brand? Because obviously, like, we as hobbyists don't necessarily relate to the brand even every day. But it is still, they are still over 40% of the blaster market. They are like Kleenex in terms of talking about the blaster market. And what they do has an impact on how we engage. What do we think this might look like?
Well, I have a question. Like, do we know if that quote about transforming the model or the business was that taken before N series or after N series?
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm curious about that because
it comes from a and this will be referred and linked directly in the episode show notes. It's an interview with. Let me pull it up to make sure I get it exactly right. But it was an interview this month, February 20th.
Okay.
And I'll.
Well, that's interesting because you would think that maybe the N series was maybe the answer to their rebranding or redeveloping, but it doesn't seem like it is, which is probably good.
Right. Well, or is this, or was N series their attempt to rebrand within the concept of a dart, and now he's like, okay, clearly like rebranding within the concept of a dart isn't working, so we're going to rebrand beyond that.
Well, remember, I remember with the N series, their original thing about it, and obviously we'll take that with a grain of salt, was that they were trying to branch out into other markets, like the European market, which has a lot more strict rules through, Jewel Force and things like that. So they had to increase the surface area of the dart, so that way it could dissipate the energy faster. Obviously, they did increase the FPS of the dart, with that. So it's like, oh, okay, a little bit wider dart, decrease, makes the Jewel Force not so bad. We could increase the FPS a little bit. And so it was sort of like this weird little like moving up of some sliders here and there.
Right.
But obviously with a rebrand, or them talking about a potential rebrand, and then this partnership with the Franklin Sports, trying to go back to sort of the older stuff. Because I was seeing in some of the things for the Franklin Sport, collaboration, things that I remembered when I was a teenager, the foam footballs and stuff like that. And like I remember that being a huge thing of like outdoor sports almost, where they had like whistlers and stuff on the side of the football, or, they had the ones that looked like little rockets where it had the fins on the back end of it and stuff like that, which is an interesting way to go, because again, you're sort of reaching back to like mid 90s, type of era of that brand. And then you have people like, Marky Sparky, who was the creator of the bow and arrow. And when he branched off into his own stuff, a lot of his were still like archery based and outdoor based type of toys anyways. It hasn't really like there's other brands that are already available, or people who have branched off and done their own thing. So it's a very weird thing, because when you consider they're also talking about media or some type of digital and direct opportunity, it's like, okay, let's do outdoor toys like sports equipment, but let's also try to make sure that we have video games. So it's like, okay, are they going to be outdoors or indoors? Which one do you want? Like, which
cover
market
all the
are you
bases.
It's a very you're stretching yourself kind of in two different directions, which seems a little bit like counterintuitive, right? Which or are you just trying to just cover all your bases? And
part of what they say that they're trying to do is, there was this big thing now a year and a half or so ago where they sold their media creation
I remember
off.
that.
So like they're trying to shave off what they consider like non-core businesses. Their core is still kind of sprawling. And I was doing a lot of Perry out of Darts. Perry said something this week about even their business, a business that we definitely see as focused on the hobby, which I think they see it that way too. Most of their customers are not like regular members of the hobby. Like not even that they necessarily are like online. We had a long conversation defining this in the Discord. Not that it's even necessarily hobby means like someone who interacts online all the time. It's just like people who are consistently interested in modifying blasters, going to events, and or engaging online or with content creators. But any of those things, I would say, like someone who comes back consistently and is involved, they have a lot of people coming in who are one-time people. Maybe they're just like STEM people or they're 3D printing people, and they come in and they buy one set of parts and they're trying out Nerf once or twice, and they think it's cool and they might tell a friend about it, but they're probably not going to come back and do it again, not because they didn't like it, but just because like they're on to a different thing. Or parents who buy stuff for their kids once or whatever. And so he said something about like most of our customer base is not hobbyists, and I screenshotted that and I put it on the Simpsons bus driver "Don't make me tap the sign" meme. But then I started replacing his picture with like the Dart Zone logo and the Nerf logo. Like, we are such a tiny sliver of what all of this represents, and so what we want does not, especially for a company like Hasbro, really represent what they care about financially and in terms of the larger market. So yeah, there's really no, I'm curious to see where, like, he's talking about reimagining the line. Because it's not just about N series, it's about Nerf Pro. Like, they put so much effort into Nerf Ball. They put so much effort into
I was just
Nerf
thinking
Ball.
about Nerf Ball. Right.
And where is it?
Yeah.
Right?
Great question.
And it seems like from their perspective, even though, I thought Nerf Ball was cool. I thought it had potential. And there's a lot of pieces of that were good. I like my Strife X. But I think that they consider it a failure because it didn't garner the kind of attention that they want, that they think that they can turn into a profitable line of products.
That's sort of like the dart tag, like they had the dart tag tournament that they officially did and stuff, and that sort of just petered out as well.
Yeah.
And the blasters aren't necessarily anything crazy, but they were so interesting. They were very futuristic, or they were weird AEBs or something like that for the dart tag line. It was, for us, it's a fascinating line, or we enjoy it because of its aesthetic or whatever. But to them, it was just sort of like they tried it on and then they're like, yeah, maybe we won't. And they moved in a different direction. And it's a shame that our hobby, like the people that are here, look at it with such fond memories, thinking it was a huge success because of how much we liked it or how much a lot of us in this community enjoy it or look upon it that way. And then to that company, it's a massive, loss or failure. Right. And it's just, and without us knowing the sort of inside, knowledge of that, we can only assume based on how the rest of us are speaking about it or look at it or, have that nostalgic feeling or reminisce about it or whatever it may be. Because like a lot of us, like, Mega XL, obviously it was huge for the hobby. Mega XL was massive for the hobby. Yeah. Everybody was just going off on it, and so many people bought thousands of rounds. Yep. Myself included. I have hundreds of rounds of Mega XL, and we all loved it. But it clearly must have been a flop because they haven't. They released the first 3 blasters and then never touched it again. Yeah, and it's a real shame because what we think is great might not do well in the market, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's too bad.
I want to take a second just to get the quotes right since we've been talking about this. So, from an article from Toy News International, who the reporter was on the call or listened to the call, he paraphrased Hasbro's they stated solid growth in Transformers, but it was also noted they had a 12% decline in consumer products, with Star Wars and Nerf being called out specifically. Hasbro's Chris Cox said while their Nerf brand is solid overall, he feels their Nerf business model needs to be reinvented. The word reinvented is used in this article. I have not listened to the call. It's possible he used a different word, but I think that gets the tone across. This is from an earnings call. This is an article on February 20th. The earnings call, I believe, was that, Hasbro today held its fourth quarter and full year 2024 financial results call. And Toy Book interviewed Chris immediately after that. And in that interview, he says, he's asked by Toy Book, let's talk a little bit about Nerf, another brand that was mentioned in the call as an opportunity. Per Circana, Hasbro lost 7.3 points of market share in the blasters and accessories category last year. Still, with 42.9% of the market, Nerf is the number one player in that space. What can you tell us about these structural category headwinds that have been mentioned? And before I even read the response to this, Circana is a supplier of like market movement data, and it costs a lot of money to get access to Circana. So just getting that piece of data is really nice. That Circana says Hasbro lost 7.3% of market share in blasters and accessories last year, which is fascinating. That is enough if they have 42.9% now for them to go under the halfway mark of the whole market. And this doesn't tell us which brands are taking over. I suspect that it's Zuru X-Shot more than anybody, as much as we tend to love Dart Zone stuff and think that they did a lot of good work last year. Obviously, X-Shot did too. But
X-Shot has a much giant world reach, though, and we've talked about that on numerous occasions, how much they are just everywhere. Yeah. So, that wouldn't surprise me if it's X-Shot.
There was a period of time where someone was submitting like, oh yeah, I found X-Shot in this country that like Americans don't ever think about. Mm-hmm. And just like every week, there was another one where X-Shot was popping up. So Chris Cox replies, Nerf is going to be down but moderating. It's a 2026/2027 return to growth beyond the blaster. We have to get back to our roots as the world's first indoor ball, a brand built on safe, active play. This means thinking outside everything is a dart and looking for activities that we can Nerfify and be safe, fun, and mom and dad approved. When it comes to blasters, I look at them as an extension of the classic game of tag. We have different products available for many ages and interests, but we need to be more choiceful in SKUs. Many of our customers are more inclined to purchase a $10 to $30 blaster as opposed to a $40 to $50 option. So that is his quote.
Yeah. So it sounds like Nerf has become so synonymous with blasters that they want to kind of step outside of that a little bit. That's what I'm hearing, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
You know what's interesting is he's giving that price range. We in this episode, we're talking about the Star Wars blaster that randomly showed up, which was a re-release of a 2016 blaster.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was the most random thing. It's not tied in with any specific show. It just says Star Wars and that's it. And it was just the Stormtrooper variant of that triple shot blaster that was, from Rogue One and things. Yeah. And I saw some comments of people saying like, not for that price. And what I laughed about was when
I'll be right back. Keep talking.
Yeah. What I laughed about was the prices. So the price of this thing is $30. Which is exactly what he said. It's like $29.88 or something like that. And when you do the research, in 2016, the first one that came out was $35. It was $34.99. That was, and this is, you're talking about not during any recession. You're not talking about during any type of weird tariffs. You're not talking about any of that. It was even more expensive back then with Rogue One, and they had a deluxe variant at $50 that just came with a stock. It was $15 more with just a tiny little stock on it. And then even with the Mandalorian, it was also the same. It was like $34.99. So they clearly are doing something to reduce the cost, even again during the tariffs and during all this weird stuff that's kind of going on with current, market and inflation and all that. They were able to bring the price down. But even like I said, even the people in like talking about it were like, wow, that seems so expensive. And it's like, actually, it's cheaper. It's crazy to think that it is. But
reusing a mold alone is a major
cost cut for them. Yeah, it's a major cost cut. And obviously, we're still seeing them tying into brands, something that's familiar or potentially popular or very profitable, trying to sort of do that. And actually the color variant doesn't look bad. I like simple black and white Stormtrooper. I like it. There are some like little weird green colorings in there I've noticed with like the logo and stuff. But yeah, like it was just a random thing, because we were talking about it with the in-series of, so when is the last Elite Dart blaster going to be released?
Yeah.
And then we keep thinking, oh, it was the Fortnite thing, and it was the Minecraft thing.
Oh, for a minute we thought it was going to be the Destiny one.
We thought it was
Spades.
Ace of Spades, and then all of a sudden this comes out of nowhere. And it's just really strange. That's why it's really hard, I think, even to sort of predict where they're going to go, because even if they want to use old molds, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because these are blasters that a lot of people, and Star Wars is a very safe brand, because there's cosplayers, there's a massive franchise towards it. Like that makes sense. But like if they, I remember the Hyperfire that was supposed to come out that was tied in with G.I. Joe.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. Did we not see that?
Well, I remember it being talked about, and then it just sort of vanished. And I don't remember if it was ever actually released. I don't remember, actually.
I definitely haven't seen anybody being like, oh, I have this thing.
Yeah, but like same thing with like you said, the Magic the Gathering.
You can buy them on Hasbro Pulse right now for $40.
Oh, okay. Well, nobody has bought it. But what we see is a lot of tie-ins with franchises, obviously old IPs and old molds being used. So you have, again, the Star Wars one, you have the Hyperfire with G.I. Joe, you have the Shell Strike for the Magic the Gathering. They're pulling out a lot of these older things and tying them in with whatever franchise it seems like. It might be a cost cutting. It might be a way to try to just have some familiarity with a franchise to get somebody to buy it, like I said, for collectors. But it really seems, I don't know how else to put it, almost sort of desperate on what they're doing. And it doesn't seem to have a good rhyme or reason as to why. There are a lot of franchises.
The Star Trek thing came down to $60.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the Borg, which everybody was so mad about, the Borgified.
Oh, I'm still mad about it.
But I am too.
If it comes down a little bit more, I would buy it just for the handheld one.
True,
just for the Type 2.
I mean, granted, I would just rip all the Borg parts off and then just plate it myself and paint it up to look more like a prop. But yeah, it's a very. I think the limited line wasn't a bad idea. I think that there are a few of us who are good and are interested in it for the collectors or for whatever.
Sure.
I think and for me, I'm always looking at it like, okay, great. When's somebody going to get rid of their collection for super cheap so I can get one for nothing? And then I could get into it and mod it and cut it up or do whatever with it, because that's just what I like to do.
I mean, if you want to cut up and mod the original silver Sharpie version of the Mandalorian Ambient Phase Pulse Blaster, that's only $63 now on Hasbro Pulse.
Perfect. I mean, it wasn't
what a deal.
The like $8 I got this one for, but hey,
Right. I know. I got my Mr. Beast Gelfire Blaster, the only Gelfire blaster I own, for $1 at the state surplus store.
Yeah.
Yeah. Forgot about that thing.
Remember you talking about that?
Oh.
Yeah, it is just a strange. There seems to be a lot of throwing a lot of things at the wall and seeing what sticks. And obviously, again, since we don't know how the limited lines are selling, we don't. We still see a ton of Needlers, and we still see a ton of all these limited lines that are obviously being $40 for this, $60 for that, because they still have so much stock left over. we don't know how they see it. Is it a failure? Is it still worth doing? Are they going to keep tying it in? Are we randomly going to keep getting the elite dart that they said was dead? It's sort of it's going to become the rival is dead meme where they say, everybody says that, and then 3 more blasters come out of nowhere. And it's like, I don't know. It's
I'm also
strange.
thinking like the icon line, right? That would kind of play into this too, don't you think?
Yeah.
Having those re-releases and having those molds already. So I wonder if they're going to do some more of that kind of thing also. But yeah, it's interesting.
Well, who knows what the future holds? But I appreciate looking forward at that. But before we go today, I want to look back a little bit. I thought it would be interesting to. We're 2 episodes in this year. We started a little late this year, later than we did last year. I mean, we didn't really start late. We just started when we wanted to start.
Yeah.
But one of the things we were looking at, speaking of N series, last year we were just starting to see the first leaks of N series, and there was this period of time where we kept seeing leaks that said N series, but they also said Pro, and it seemed like a lot of companies were just getting the names mixed up, which happens a lot in these like early leaks before they have pictures and stuff. And they still had the like, what was it, the like pinpoint, like all the like. Or I guess Pinpoint's an actual one.
Pinpoint was the retaliator,
right. But a bunch of them had like weird temporary names. That was only a year ago that we didn't know what N series was, and now it feels like it has completely like dominated the dialogue about Hasbro. It's wild how fast the market moves and how fast like the product cycle for something like Nerf Pro came and went. But we were also seeing the Nexus and Aeon Pro X at toy shows for the first time, almost exactly a year ago.
Yeah.
Are we seeing those on the field much? Because I feel like they were really successful products just in terms of like, here is the thing. The thing feels really good. Yeah. Like I feel like the Nexus X was like really a winner, but I mean, like let me ask you, Bill, especially because you're out seeing people play a lot more. Yeah. Do you see people with that? Like, are people using it?
Some. Yeah. And now that you say that, I can't really think.
I mean, I see one behind you, but don't look now; it's sneaking up.
Right. Honestly, I'm going to tell you, I've seen a lot more Nerf Pro on the field than the Nexus Pro stuff or Dart Zone stuff. Yeah, I think they've just been, I don't know. The last couple of games I've played, the kids have, I just know because they keep bringing their torrents over to me to get the jams unstuck, right? So I just kind of shake my head. I'm like, oh, guys, yeah.
Could have bought a Fury.
So I've seen a lot of those lately. More now, I've seen a couple, Striker 2.0s, and some Venoms on the field. So there's some stuff, but I've seen a lot more of the Nerf Pro stuff more recently.
What do you think is making people buy those over the Nexi, the long shots?
I think it's that name recognition, right? Yeah. Like they see Nerf and they're like, oh, this must be good because Nerf's been around for a long time, and they don't want to risk, that getting something that's not quote unquote name brand, right? So that's part of what I do too is education, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes this blaster from this other company is just as good or better. So that's. Yeah, I do enjoy going to the Walmarts and the Targets and just walking down the Nerf aisle and just kind of like looking around like, okay, who's here shopping? And let's see what they're looking at. And if I could offer any advice and not be like pushy or bossy, then I try to do so.
Yeah.
I wonder if it was the influx of the Cinder and the Torrents going on clearance, and because there was a lot of like flash sales and stuff where they were like 50% off. I mean, I got one of each, when they were, I think one of them I got at 66% off or something like that with a flash sale that was on Amazon. And I was like, well, that's a good a time as any to try my hand at it. So that might be also why we're seeing a bit of an influx, is just that price point came down. Because, I mean, even if you said it like, you know, Chris Cox said to that $30 point, and, you know, one of them was 50, and you mark that down to 25, that makes it much more appealing for a parent to be willing to buy it. So, I mean, that, and even the torrent was 30. $15.
The Fury X is $15.
$15.
It's amazing.
It's incredible.
And like, I don't want to sit here and just gush about some company's thing, but like, really, like, holding this and like the old thing that you do to X-Shot blasters to see if they've changed. This thing's solid, right? Like, that was the thing with like a Reflex 6, is like, if you try hard enough, you can just sort of like twist it and break it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I love Reflex 6s. I love them. They're great because they're cheap and they're reliable, and they shoot hard but not too hard, and they're moddable. But like this thing, I feel like they're still using the same, X-Shot is still using the same cheap plastic, but they figured out how to engineer it better. So it doesn't need the heavier, more expensive plastic in order for it to feel like a solidly built product. And that's exciting. And so, but it is interesting how, looking at the $15 one and looking at the $50 one, you can look at it and go, well, the $50 one must be better.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not so much.
And like I said, that brand recognition, they're relying a lot on that brand recognition. And you know, I don't know, it's a really weird time. The pro scene and the pro blasters showing up on store shelves, I think really, it kind of flipped the blaster market on its head. Because when you really looked at it, it was an arms race, you know, where it was trying to get high performance, cheap costs, you know, trying to compete with this. Now you have a whole bunch of new pro level darts that are available. I mean, the moment that you could buy a pro dart off of a shelf, again, that was another huge, like, turn of events for the hobby, because you're just going down to a Walmart or a Target and buying, you know, half darts, you know, on the fly is just something we couldn't do for a long time. And now it's just everywhere.
I was just tuning in to hear Dorian talking on the World Film Alliance show. Which one is it today? It was Foam Zone.
Yeah.
I know. I'm missing it because I'm talking to you guys. Thanks.
I mean, I was listening until I was getting set up to record for this, but you know, he was talking about the Stefan days where it was like, you know, you bought you either went to the hardware store and made your own stuff, or you spent $1,200 getting something from Explorer, and then you you sat and cut foam backer rod for like 5 hours the night before with your buddies before the Nerf war the next day. And just being able to go, like, now it's like on my way to the thing, I swing through Walmart and I buy a tub of darts, and I go and I toss it in the communal dart bin, and I go, there's my contribution this time, you know? And it costs me less than $10. It's crazy.
It's amazing.
How quickly things change. I also really quickly just want to give some shout outs to the hobby scene from a year ago. Lidl was doing a ton of stuff. Within a couple episodes exactly a year ago, Satakieli and what was the other one? Maraca, which that was a year ago. And Vile's whole, we were talking about that last episode. Vile's whole thing with the Maraca, making them for
Polymaker, I mean,
Polymaker,
I did it for Polymaker. They took it to an event, and then another very large, like, 3D printing YouTuber featured it on his thing. And I remember when Bruce Lidl like reached out to me, he's like, "Oh my God, this guy, it's on his thumbnail. It's literally, he's got it right here." And I was like, "Wait, what?" And I went and I watched it, and I was like, "That's so cool." And it was the stuff that I printed printed for them at that convention, and I was like, that's awesome. And it blew up his stuff, and which is great. And he's obviously Lidl's still doing stuff now, and was actually I was surprised because he wasn't just doing stringer stuff. He even was making upgrade parts for the Fury X.
Yeah. Oh, I saw that.
Yeah. Even making stuff. I was like, oh, sweet. So he's even now got not just full blasters, but even just accessories for it, which is kind of neat. And that was just that was kind of our whole splash of Fury X last episode, because it was just a lot. We still had more to cover this time. So yeah.
About a year ago was also, let's see, Chance released the Tracer, which I still really want one of those. And
those are awesome.
It's now a year old, but
crazy.
Maybe I'll get around to making it. Yeet Lance.
Spire
makes.
That's
Yeet
what
Lance.
I still need to make. I still need to make a Yeet Lance.
It's a really good one. And one of the big AEBs, one of the hobby AEBs came around this time, but I can't find it now. And I can't remember which one it was. This was also, we were doing a lot of talking. This was sort of the beginning of talking about Chinese designs starting to become imported.
Yeah.
And legitimate productions of American and European designs being made in China. This was around when Blast, what are they called? Blast Pro Shop opened, and I haven't checked on them.
Was it this
I
one,
haven't checked on
KT?
them in a while.
Was this the AEB?
No, that's not what I'm thinking about. But that one also, I think that's older, isn't it?
This was last year.
That was when was it last year?
Oh, I don't remember though. It's what is this even called? Because we had the BK1S. I remember that one had come out, but it was having problems. They re-released it, or it was the BK1, I think, and then they re-released it to the BK1S. This one was the. Why is the name escaping me? I cannot remember.
That's not the Sweetheart Storm, is it?
No. Sweetheart Storm was a different one. Okay. This one popped up because there was a. I remember there was another, because I have the second variant that actually has the whole different front end, and it had like a barrel that it had like multiple locking positions for the magazine, like the magwell. And so there was a high pro variant that hit like 300 FPS. I think this one hits like 180s or something like that. It's select fire. So like it was a pretty big blaster. And I remember it kind of just popped up out of nowhere. And then I went down the rabbit hole trying to find the story on it. And the name is just escaping me though. Why can't I think of the name of this thing? But yeah, this was last year, because I picked up two of these, and I got them in purple, which is my favorite. And I got the original one, and I got the pro one. So I have the one with the full machined front end and the magwell that can be put into different positions, because it was like you could have it straight down, or you can like rotate it full like 90 degrees to the left or right, or 45 and things. It was really crazy. And then again, they put an upgrade spring, and it was a 300 FPS, just AEB, which is crazy. So
yeah.
Again, why is the name Inverted Scales?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh,
that's God. I was like sitting there. I was like, it's right on the tip of my tongue. What is it called? Inverted Scales. That's what this one was called.
Yeah.
Speaking of Blast Pro Shop, I just noticed that they're on hiatus, catching up on orders, and I was like, oh, so I just messaged Jared, see if he. But that's cool. Good, because it means that they're getting a lot of orders. So like clearly that experiment seems to be working out.
That's awesome for you, Vile. This is a little bit more my budget.
Hey,
so
I have to order a second one, and you're gonna the modders out there are gonna be so mad at me, because when I went to go put the magnets in, one of them flipped around, and I'd already dropped the super glue, and it popped in there and held, and I was like,
no.
"Oh God!" And I just went with it, and I pushed it in because at that point I literally could not pull it out. So I just sent it. So they unfortunately are now pushing and not pulling. So I have to order a second one so I can fix the problem.
Well, you should message them because they can probably just send you the one part.
I mean, they could, but I have a second solo, so.
Yeah.
But then you don't have to. Then you still can't. Well, okay. Well, so I had to order another one too because I won one in the raffle.
Oh yeah.
But it's the prototype one, and I ran it at that event. But then I need to pack it away for the museum. So I was like, well, I still want one. So now I got to order another one, and Not Enough sent me a solo a while back, and so that one's gonna get converted. At some point when I'm not building, right now, my new project that I need to start on is a prop toilet that shoots streamers that look like water out of the thing for a theater production of Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief.
So, yeah. It sounds like they got the right person for the job.
Maybe when I'm done with that, I'll have time to build my my YOLO. But, well, priorities, I guess.
Yeah, I love it. It's fun. It's fun.
Well, with that, I think we've casted a pod. It has been a delight having you on, Bill. It's so good just to get to chat and to get to share that with the world and make sure that people know about the important work that you're doing and hopefully be inspired to go out into their community and convince this window to move. There we go. To go out in their community and, like you said, make connections, meet people, and show people what's possible. I want an excuse to mention this, but also the person that is involved in this is a minor, so I'm not going to give even their online name, but or pronouns, but. This person is doing something similar and did a modding class. I think that it was just one off, but they had a bunch of younger kids made crazy stuff. I was trying to get pictures that I wanted to share, but there were not enough like good pictures of it. But like, I think it's so cool when people manage to grab the opportunity to do something like that and make something like that happen. So I'm glad that you're doing it consistently. 3 years in, wild, really exciting. Would you tell the folks where they can find you and keep up on the work that you're doing online?
Yeah, you bet. So socials, I'm old, so I'm on Facebook, CR Nerf, and we're on Instagram and YouTube, just CR Nerf. So really easy to find us. If you Google Cedar Rapids and Nerf, my Facebook page is the first thing that pops up. I'm super excited about that. So pretty easy to find. So yeah, hope to see more people. Super looking forward to Maryland this year. I'm bummed out. KT, you're not going to be there.
I know. I was even trying to figure out if I could just come down for a day because I don't. But there's just too much going on.
And I'm probably going to be out of the country again. So move the dates around and the timing for me. It's just probably going to be that I'm going to be out of the country.
Yeah.
So
super thankful for an understanding wife who is the mother of our children and willing to let me go even on the Mother's Day weekend. So thank you for that. I appreciate. She doesn't like the hobby so much, but she supports my passions, and so I appreciate her for that. So yeah, big thanks for that.
Sign of a strong relationship.
You bet. You bet.
Actually, part of the work that I'm going to be doing on Mother's Day is a big dance show that I do tech for every year. And it's always, I'm sitting there, I'm working at the light board, and between dances, I turn around and say, well, happy Mother's Day to all of you mothers who are sitting watching your kids on stage doing their dance rehearsal, because that's how they spend their Mother's Day every single year.
Yeah, same here. The rehearsal is usually Mother's Day because that's when the theater has space and time.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. Vile, regular streaming schedule this month?
Regular streams, Friday, Saturday, 12 to 8 Pacific. And I'll be working on my Merge Masters build. Hopefully, hopefully getting it closer to being done.
Right. Yeah, I guess you have. Well, wait, what's the due date you said?
The 30th of April, so I have 2 months.
April? Oh, okay.
I'm right at about the 2 month time frame now that I still got left.
Right.
That looks like it's over 12% done though, so you're off to a good start.
Yeah, I'm doing
true.
pretty good. I'm trying to get at least 12% every stream, but we'll see. We'll see if I can keep up the persistence, I guess.
Yeah, but what percentage is your paint booth done?
That's zero. Zero. I have to get the garage organized and then start building that, which is it's a huge undertaking on its own. So.
All right, well,
We'll
good
see.
luck with that. I have similar things that I have to do, but that'll have to wait for another time. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Really appreciate y'all. Please be sure to check out. It's like, I don't know what to tell people to do at the end of these things. It's like, there's no way that you're listening to this podcast and you didn't already watch the show, right? So it's like, go watch the show on YouTube. You definitely watched the show on YouTube already. If you listen to this point in the podcast where I'm about to stop recording.
Yeah.
So thanks for listening to the show, and we'll see y'all in 2 weeks.
Thanks, everybody.
Have a good night.
Good night.
And then I let it roll for a second.